This week, I was scrolling through Facebook and I came across in my news feed a post that I found interesting, and I wanted to bring it up to you guys. This was the post. I need to liquidate some inventory in order to take care of some unexpected builds. This was in a group that's an FFL group, so firearm training and FFLs. And then I was like, you know what? I wonder how many other businesses are doing that. And I came across this one also, looking at liquidating all firearms to one buyer. There are 236 of them. There are some items of multiples, have multiples of lowers and pistols. These are clearly two gun stores that are going out of business because they can't handle the change in the market. And so I messaged one of them. I messaged this guy to see if, there was a possibility of me purchasing it. I couldn't make a deal with him because he was asking too much. But in my message to him, I asked him, I said, why did you decide to close? And his answer was, market here isn't good. Not enough good customers to stay afloat. And in dealing with firearm businesses all over the country, I hear this all the time. This is like one of the number one things that I hear all the time. And so today's call is about this idea that there's not enough customers, or the economy's bad, or it's the market, or it's my area, or something along those lines. Because I will tell you, unless you have your business in the Sahara Desert, you have enough people to run a business. I built my entire business training 30,000 people in Inverness, Florida. The population of Inverness, Florida is at the time was 7,600 people in the city proper, right? 7,600 people in the city proper. The entire county at the time was 114,000 people in the entire county. My business relied on me getting people to drive 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for my training. The problem is not the economy. The problem is not, your location. It comes down to a marketing problem. And so with our industry, it's very seasonal. What I mean by seasonal is that we often are blaming the economy, our location, demographics, like local people around us, politics, right? This president or that president, our pricing, we can't afford to make any money on these thin margins because we have to compete with everybody else, right? And these explanations are really convenient for us as gun owners and business owners. And this is going to sound harsh. Today's going to sound a little bit harsh. It's convenient for us because it takes the blame off of us for our business not doing well. It takes the blame off of our leadership. And so it's very convenient for us because we are able to blame something else, but it's inaccurate in almost every case, unless you are literally in the Sahara Desert, and then there's nothing I can do for you. But revenue instability, it crosses every type of economy. My business was in good economies, bad economies. Obama, Trump, right? So red states, blue states, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. Rural areas, urban areas, that's not why businesses are succeeding and failing. And to give you an example of that, right? Think about how many car dealerships that you pass by every single day. You've got giant car dealerships, Ford, Chevys, you've got tiny little car dealerships on the corner. If it was about competition or economy, you would see those dry up because there are so many car dealerships that you can buy a car from. And if they all can exist, why can't we? Because I'll tell you, there are many less. There are far less. There are far less car dealerships. There are far less gun businesses in your area than there are car dealerships or restaurants. And yet those are still working, right? So the real issue isn't necessarily your effort or your motivation or your excitement to be in business. As long as you're hungry, you can win. But the real issue is a structured, repetitive flow of new business. Instability that caused these particular gun stores to close is not what they think it is, which they think it's outside forces. It's that they didn't have a consistent repetition of new customers coming through the door. And so the revenue instability that they experienced with these businesses leads us to have things like unpredictable class attendance, inconsistent traffic on our ranges, irregular gun and accessory sales, right? Sales are down, or the opposite, random spikes from current events. So if there's a local shooting or a local happening, yeah, we could ride the wave in marketing, right? But those random spikes are just as dangerous to our business as just inconsistency, because those random spikes mean a lot of people are buying from us in a very short amount of time. And now we're going to have an even slower month because that spike got everybody who was going to buy earlier than they normally would. And so we have serious cash flow problems while that normalizes. And so even strong revenue months can lead to some very dangerous times for our business because they bring all those buyers forward artificially because of current events. And so the takeaway from inconsistency is that we need to be creating the demand. And this is why I answer questions from this group all the time. I have people private message me and ask me publicly all the time, what about Google ads? With Google ads, you are responding to demand that is already created by something else. So that when somebody is searching on Google for your business, they can find you. I think organic is the way to win there. I don't think we need paid ads for Google because we cannot create demand. Google relies on somebody going and searching. So the demand has already been created in their heart to find a gun business. And then you need to make sure that your business appears at the right time. Facebook, however, allows us to create demand that did not exist previous. Because as they're scrolling through their news feed, they catch a video of you or they catch a post from you. And although they may have been thinking in the back of their mind that they wanted to do something, they certainly weren't going to Google and searching. The demand had not been created yet. And you're doing that with your ads. That's one of the most important things that you can do with your ads is by creating demand. And just to cover last week, we talked about my process for ads is I do my call out, and then I do my value. Oh, wow. And then I do my call to action. Call out who I'm talking to, who I want to talk to, my value, what it is that I'm providing, and then my call to action. Murph just did that in his video where he said, do you want to get your license to carry in Massachusetts? We're giving this buy one, get one. And so click this ad, right? It was exactly perfect. As a quick add-on that I didn't want to bring in last week because I didn't want to be information overload, another thing that we can do is we can start with our call out. Then we can add pain, and then we can add value. Call out, do you want to get your license to carry in Massachusetts? You and I both know that it's super difficult. So I am now giving a buy one, get one to incentivize you, and we're going to help you with the process. Click the ad, right? So it's just adding a piece of pain in there. And so, but I want you guys to really clearly know that when you are going through this time where you are not getting signups, you are not getting people to the door, you are not getting the range memberships. The problem is not the economy. We have to have business in every economy. The problem is not your location or the fact that you're a red state or blue state or who's in the White House. The problem is that you have not created a consistent way to get new traffic every single day. And so that no matter what, even if the current events do happen and you get that peak, you're able to create consistent people walking through the door and buying from your business, even after those buyers are brought forward by a current event. And so that's what it's going to look like. And so what this kind of looks like in a day-to-day, because you guys know I really like to break things down on what we can do and what we can focus on. It kind of goes back to the ADA framework. Right? The ADA framework, this has been around since like the 1920s. We have to get their attention. Okay, Murph is doing a good job in that video because he's in a Christmas suit, right? He's in a Christmas outfit. It's colorful, it's moving, right? So he's getting people's attention. Then he needs to get their interest. Then we need to make their desire. And then, oh, it's not, it's ADA. And then we need them to take action. Okay. Attention, interest, desire, action, ADA framework. And so when we're building in the ADA framework, we need to do something to get their attention really quickly. Like that's the first 3 seconds of your ad. Interest, right? We need to get them interested in our product, and then desire action. So another quick framework that I really want to do is another one is attention, interest, desire, outcome. Another one is attention, trust, offer, action. Okay, so attention, trust, outcome, or what is it? Offer, and then action. Okay, this is slightly different and still just as powerful. Attention, we're getting their attention. Then trust, we say proof, right? So if you guys see my ads, I say, firearm training businesses, if you're struggling to fill your classes, I've trained over 30,000 people. So what that is attention, I'm doing my call out, then trust. I'm giving some proof of something that only I have done and only I can say. So what you should do for that, if it's Murph, we have trained over 30,000 people here in, Massachusetts to get their license to carry or whatever it is, something that he's done that shows he can be trusted for this, because trust is a really big thing.